Hello, ladies. So I promised that I would share with you the very tool that I am using for my own business planning and strategizing every year. It's the same tool that I'm using with my private VIP clients as well. So maybe before we start, I introduce myself so that you know a little bit more about who I am and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So my name is Agnes van Rijn. I am Dutch. I'm living in France from where I am operating internationally. I'm an expert in personal branding and in systems. I have 25 years of corporate experience where I was in charge of administration mainly. And I have set up my own business 8 years ago. The work that I do with my clients is that I help them gain the clarity and the confidence that will help them create a real business. And I give them the tools to commit to it so that they can have a thriving business, but also enjoy their life. So in a nutshell, that is what I do. I do believe that women should really be entitled and should entitle themselves, by the way, to create the life that they are dreaming of. And I'm also absolutely convinced that in doing so, they will help shape a better world. There are two main problems that I'm seeing with my clients. There are two main problems that I'm seeing with women in general. The very first one is that when they have their own business, they have done so because they are passionate about something, and they had this idea that they would live their passion and that in doing so they would probably also help change the world, because we tend to be on a mission. The one thing that they forget in doing so is that living from your passion is one thing, but that having a business is a complete different thing. It does require a complete different set of skills, and that is why very often they end up being completely overwhelmed. They don't get the results they want, and they keep wondering what it is that they're doing wrong. The second thing that I see them doing is, as a woman, quite often, and of course it's an easy generalization, but however, quite often they are, from a, I would say, financial stability point of view, completely relying on their partner. What I would like to see instead is I would like to see women who are completely autonomous. What I mean by that is that if you are having a significant other, a spouse, whatever you would want to call him or her, I would want to see you having a separate bank account for your personal needs, him or her having a personal bank account for his or her personal needs, and a bank account for your common needs. What I also would like to see is that, and I'm still talking about the private thing of the personal matters here, your private life, not talking about your business yet. I would also like to see you having savings. I would like also to ensure that you are having all the insurances that you need, so that whatever happens in your life, your whole life is not falling apart. And if something happens, of course, something happening could be that, you have a divorce or whatever, which I'm not hoping for you. But well, we know that life can be ended any moment. And I really don't want your entire life to fall apart. It's already difficult enough when we have to go through emotional stuff, but when on top of it, we have to go through all the financial turmoil because all of a sudden you don't have access to money anymore, or you're not having any insurance or not health insurance or whatever. So for me, that's really, really important that you have that stability. If we now look at it from a business perspective, I want to see that as a business owner, you are enjoying what you're doing, of course. That's a key factor. We do so much better when we're passionate about what we're doing. But what I would like to see as well is that you are in control of your business, that it's not just something that is controlling you because you don't understand how it works, and you don't know what is happening in fact from a financial point of view. The other component in there as well is that you are structured and organized in such a way that you don't have that feeling that you're losing control on everything. Also, not the financial aspect of it, but the time you're spending on it, the energy it's taking, etc. What I mean with all of that is not necessarily that you have to do all of that yourself, and I would even highly recommend that you only work on any component in your work where you have added value, and that you rely on others who are knowledgeable on whatever other topic. Spending, for instance, time doing your own accounting, if you don't understand a damn thing about it and that it doesn't interest you, that is something that is going to completely drain you. We don't want that. So that's, in a nutshell, the idea around what I'm bringing to my clients. Give them that stability, that confidence, that organization, that alignment, that's a personal branding part of it, that alignment of who they are inside that shows outside. The one mistake that is being made very often with personal branding is that people tend to think that we're talking about the visible aspect of things. The visible aspect of things is like the iceberg. It's the visible part of the iceberg, where personal branding is really about aligning the visible part of the iceberg with the 2/3 that are below the surface. So really being connected to who you truly are is what will generate the best results. That alignment is really key. So let's go back to financial business planning. Financial business planning is something that you should be going through every single year, and that you should be following up as the year is evolving. It is, of course, extremely important as a first step that is not included in this tool, but that you understand that that is important. It's extremely important that you know exactly what your why is, why you are doing what it is that you are doing. Once you're clear about that, and of course you also need to be clear about who your ideal client is and what it is that you are doing for them, what are the benefits, the results that they're gaining from working with you, and how you are delivering those results. Let's assume that all of that you are clear about it. And again, the program that I have is addressing all of that, but that's not the topic today. So you're very clear about everything. It's a new year, and now you are planning your year to come. There are several components, and the reason why I started talking about you as a private person as well is that I want you, I told you already, to be on top of everything in your life, and that is personal and professional. So the very first thing that I want you to look at is the complete detail of what you are spending your money on in your personal life. So I want you to know exactly what your financial needs are personally. Because the financial needs that you have personally are going to have an impact on the financial needs, or the revenues, I should say, that you need to generate on the business side. So once you are clear about your personal financial needs, we are going to look at your professional, your business financial needs. The very first line that you will be looking at for your business financial needs is what I will call your salary So even if you are not paying yourself a salary, whatever form this is going to take is not relevant. You need to cover your personal financial needs. So I call it salary, but that is a line that will be included in your business needs. And from there, we will be looking at all the details of all the components of, I don't know, if you have an office, your rent and the cost of the office supplies and all the topics. So once you know that what your business financial needs are, including therefore your personal financial needs, you will be looking at the time allocation that you have. We all have the same number of days in a year. We may not all be taking the same number of, I don't know, weekend days or holidays, or some may have bank holidays that they will take and the others won't take them, etc. So we will be looking at how much time is left for you to work. How much time can you dedicate on your work? And once you have that number, and we will be looking at it in terms of number of hours, that will make it easier for you to grasp. You will be looking at how much time are you spending on what type of activities that you cannot bill to your clients, the so-called non-billable activities. The non-billable activities are, I don't know, your bookkeeping, if you're doing it yourself. It is your social media if you're not, if you are doing it yourself. Once you are clear about that, it is giving you a number of hours left, and these are the hours that you can charge to your clients. With that number of hours, you will figure out what the value is of your, I would say, hourly rate. And that is simply enough, the revenues you need to generate divided by the number of hours that you can work. It means that any hour or day, whatever, that you would spend on doing something else than added value, that is to say billable time, in essence you are losing the amount that you will have calculated by this by using this tool. So with that, you're then going to look at your profit pyramid, you're looking at your products, and with that you're going to have a detailed look at the different type of product or services that you are having, and you are going to decide how much of, I don't know, private VIP days you want to sell in a year, at what rate, to find out what revenue it's going to generate, and that's how you will adapt your revenue scheme. There is, of course, so much more to it. I dedicate a full private VIP day with my clients to strategize their year, but if you would be using that tool, I would already be extremely happy, because you would have raised your awareness of what you're spending your money on how you are wasting your time or not on stuff that you could probably delegate. It will also allow you to have a very close look at, as I said, your profit pyramid. Have a look at the type of products you're selling. Maybe you will find out that a product that you were selling a certain price should be sold at a much higher price, because if you compare it to your hourly rate, there is no way that you can make money with it. So let me walk you through the use of this tool. It's an Excel spreadsheet. I don't know if you are familiar with Excel. As such, it's a useful tool, but a boring tool to a certain extent. But I have put it together in such a way that, in fact, you have only to fill the blanks and replace the labels in some instances, because where I am completely customizing this tool for my clients when I work with them. In this case, it's impossible for me to give you a tool that would fit the needs of everyone. So let me walk you through it, and we will look further at the end of this presentation. I'm going to share my screen for that, so I'm just asking you a second. Blah, 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 where is it? Share screen, here we go. And you should be able to see my screen in a few minutes. And hopefully it's the case. So if you look at the very bottom of this page called Private Budget, you can see at the very bottom that there are 3 tabs, or 4 in fact. One says Business, one says Personal, and one says Time. And we're going to start with the tab called Personal, because I want you to start with a very high level of awareness, I should say, of what you are spending your private money on, and therefore what your private financial needs are. Again, these are various sheets that work together. When I work with my client and for myself, there is another budget page that I'm using for personal, as is the case for business, where we are looking at the private budget, but month by month, because of course the numbers that we'll show here are total numbers per year, with an average per month, but it can only be an average, and there are certain items that will not necessarily be spread over the year regularly. You will notice also that I have 4 columns, one that says Current, one that says Stardust, one that says Star, and one that says Sky is the Limit. I am very much into the use of the word shine. That has everything to do with my father, who always asked me not to shine, so be invisible. So that's probably my revenge now. my programs tend to be called shine. So when you shine, well, the first column, Current, is just a reflection of the actual situation that you're having. But I also want you to go beyond that. So if you are shooting for the stars, you may first start with Stardust. It's the stars already, but it's at the dust level, so it's better than what you're currently having, but it's not magic yet. It's attainable. The third column, Stars, yes, you start shooting for the stars, so this is so much better than Stardust. And of course, so that's some kind of a, I would say, business class level, where Stardust is probably something like, no, sorry, Stardust would be business class level if you were in a plane, where Star would be first class. And Sky is the Limit is where you have your private jet. Everything is absolutely marvelous. So every line that has a color is the line where automatically the totals are being generated based on the numbers that you are going to fill in below. There is a first topic called General Expenditures. The terminology will not always be the right one from one country to the other. That might be slightly different. So again, if you click on the corresponding cell and want to type something else, you just replace it, and that's fine. I have added a series of lines of stuff that is usually there, but you can yourself replace them. If, for instance, you don't have a rent because you have a mortgage, you can replace this with something else. Again, you just type over the label as it stands. And in the under the current column, where I have entered 24,000. I have just entered a number here to give you a feel of what is happening. If I would replace the 24,000 with 35,000, for instance, you will notice that just above, the number here has changed. Should, under the category general expenditure, should you need additional lines, the only thing you have to do is click at the beginning of a line to highlight it, and then right click and say insert, and it will insert a line. Make sure that when you insert lines, it's always somewhere in the middle, because if you are adding a line just at the top, the total will not reflect the line that you have added. So make sure it's somewhere in the beginning, in the middle. For those of you who are really not familiar with Excel, well, if you want me to tweak some small details, I'm happy to do so. However, you can imagine that if I would have to start customizing completely for all of you this document, it really would require too much of my time. So if that were the case, I'm happy to do so, but probably against a small fee like $50, for instance. But that's not why, it's not my objective. I'm not trying to sell you anything here. I just want to avoid the frustration of any person who would not be familiar enough with Excel to use the tool. So let's go further. You have a topic, taxes. So again, all the themes can be changed, but I have listed the most common themes that I am coming across with my own personal experience, but also with my clients. Again, from one country to the other, all of that won't work the same. So I've just added a series of lines, taxes 1, 2, 3, you call it whatever you want, and you just complete the year number on the current. And for the sake of this presentation, I'm going to concentrate only on the first column, the current column. What I call financial is, banking. It is a bank account. It is a loan, for instance. The one thing that I have added, you will notice, is that there is a line called new zero. I would want you to make sure that instead of having zero on your bank account being $0 or euros or pounds or whatever, that you decide that from now on the equivalent of zero is, for instance, I don't know, $3,000 or euros or pounds, so that if something unexpected happens, it is not the end of the world. You have something that is there that you can rely on, that can help you if times are more difficult. So if I were deciding that my new zero is $3,000 per month, I would, I would have 3,000 always here. 3,000, it will never be multiplied by each month. It is your new zero, so it's just a 3,000 that you need, or whatever number you would have decided. You don't need to say I need 3,000 every month. That becomes, a saving process. That's completely different. So talking about savings, you may have different type of saving accounts. Just enter whatever it is called here in the label and enter the year amount. Insurances, whatever type of insurance you have for the house, for, I don't know, maybe special insurance for the kids or whatever. The only insurance that's not listed under here will be your car insurance, because I have a specific topic for car. Health. You may, again, depending on the countries, it will work differently. There might be a cost for social security. There might be a cost for a health insurance. There might be a cost for, I don't know, doctor costs that are not covered by any type of insurance. So again, if you need additional lines, click at the beginning of a line, right click, say insert, add the line. Personal spendings. Should you have a partner, a spouse, with a common account, only one single account for the family, which I do not recommend. As I said, I really would want you to have your own bank account for your personal spendings. He or she would have his own bank account or her own bank account for personal spendings, and you would have a common bank account for what you're paying together. So should you not have that, then the personal spendings here that are listed would be your common cost. So I don't know, if you are going to the hairdresser every month and he or she is as well, it would be hairdresser for both of you here, total cost per year. So again, you list all the items that you would have here. I don't know, it can be, as I said, a hairdresser, it can be a beautician, it can be whatever else you would have there. There is a specific topic for kids. So again, I've listed some headings, clothing, shoes, whatever, schooling, leisure. There may be so much more here. Again, if you need to add an item, more items, right click at the beginning of the row and add an additional row. If you have pets, well, pets have a cost as well. So there might be a special insurance for the pets. There might be medical costs for the pets that are not covered by insurance. There is the cost of food. There is the cost of any type of material you would have, etc. Same for the cars. Car or cars. Again, if it is your car only and you alone pay for it, have your car listed here. If this is not relevant, if the two of you have cars and it is a common pot, then you would have cars and not one car. So if you are having a credit to pay for that car, you would have it here. You would have your insurance. What I call care, I have no clue how you would call that, or maybe I could translate it like this. It's any cost of garage when you have it repaired, or repairs I should call it. That's probably best. Petrol, car park, toll, so etc. Again, add as many lines as you need. If you don't have pets, by the way, just don't fill it in. If you don't have kids, just don't fill it in. That's it. And then a topic, leisure. That's your holidays. That's any outings, that is restaurant or whatever you would have. Sports, book, magazine, and whatever miscellaneous you have. So I have filled in under current just a few fake numbers so that you see what happens. So obviously, this is not realistic at all to as a number. For some, it may be absolutely too much. For some others, it might be far from the reality. You see that it has generated that there is a total cost per year for your personal life of almost $85,000 or euros or whatever. And by the way, I forgot to say that at the very top here, private budget, you say currency per month. It's not currency per month, it's currency. You would replace it by, US dollar or whatever currency would be relevant. And I'm going back down. So those almost $85,000 in this case mean that on average, you need to generate at least $7,000 per month in order to meet your financial needs. So that is looking at your private financial needs. And the reason why it is really split per item like that, per theme, is that I really want you to be aware of what each area of your life is costing you. Quite often, we have just absolutely no clue. I mean, most people just spend their money and are surprised when all of a sudden they're completely in debt, or don't realize at all where they could be saving money. So for instance, if you discover that you're spending too much, by looking at it this way, it makes it so much easier for you to look into an item and say, okay, I'm going to spend less on, I don't know, holidays, for instance. So let's look at the tab called Business at the very bottom. I click on Business, and here I arrive on a different sheet. I'm going to go to the top to show you that the first part of this document is looking at revenues. You see that here I have a line called revenues. But we're first going to work out everything that is your expenses first, the money you are spending on your business. Again, every line that has a color are totals that are generated automatically. You see that under the line salary, if you look at the second and the third and the fourth column, there is already a number. That is because the number you find here, the 84,900, are populated automatically from the total that you had on your personal financial needs. And then we have again a whole series of items. So again, I've called this general expenditure. What I called salary, again, you may not pay yourself under the form of a salary, but your personal expenses need to be covered somehow. So the title of this line is not relevant as such. It's salary or needs. You could call it personal needs, for instance, personal needs or salary. If you have an office, you would have a rent. If you you obviously are spending money on office supplies, on travel that you cannot, so travel is transportation, I should say, transportation that is not being billed to a client. Lodging, you're attending, for instance, a workshop, and the corresponding lodging is not something that you can charge to your clients, so you have a cost of it. Catering, it's any other type of expenses you might have, parking, toll, mileage, whatever else. Whatever else, again, you can add as many lines as you want, you can change the labels, just make it work for yourself. Then support team. You may have a business where you have hired people, where you pay a salary to your people, but it may also be just freelance people. But there are items that I want you to look at. Maybe if you're doing everything on your own, everything will be empty here. But let's assume you have an OBM, an office business manager. Well, you need to pay that person. How much is that person costing you per year? I've just entered a fake number here. You may have an accountant, and by the way, in certain countries, an accountant and a bookkeeper is not the same, so I'll list that as well. You may have someone for administration, you may have someone doing your social media, you may have someone doing your web design, you may be having someone for IT. If you have an office, you may have a housekeeper or cleaner, probably you would call it, whatever. Add any other topic that would be relevant under the item support team. Financial, you may have several bank accounts or loans or whatever credits that you would be listing here. Again, you change the labels as you wish. You add as many other lines as needed. You fill in the total per year. Taxes, always the same from one country to the other. It won't be the same, so just list any type of taxes that you would be paying. Social, I don't know how that works from one country to the other. Again, it's very different. I'm working internationally, so I'm seeing different type of things. But if I take the example of France, for instance, if I am having my own bookkeeper who is part of my team, I'm paying a salary, I will be paying social charges against that salary as well. So whatever you would need to pay, you would add here. Provisions. Again, very different from one country to the other. If I'm taking the example of France again, we are paying certain type of taxes, social charges, etc., based on an estimated level of revenue. And then the year after, based on the real revenues, we have to pay more if it has been more. Your accountant or bookkeeper, if all of a sudden you see that you are doubling your revenues compared to what was planned originally, can calculate how much additional you will have to pay the year after. And I highly recommend that, because that year you have doubled your revenues, you don't know yet what the year after might generate. It might be less, you don't know, whatever can happen. I highly recommend that you set that aside. So you have a saving amount, you have a tax amount that is the additional stuff that your accountant will have calculated. Same for social, same for anything else that might happen. Insurances. Again, usually we have at least a liability insurance. If you are paying yourself a salary, it can well be that you could charge against your business a health insurance for yourself, a retirement insurance for yourself, etc. Networking. Any networking activity that you are doing either in person or virtually. So to give you an example, that's why I'm listing here LinkedIn. LinkedIn would be what is the yearly cost of the subscription for LinkedIn, but any other in-person or not subscription for belonging to whatever networks you are belonging to. Any cost of business development, attending conferences, cost of inviting potential clients, etc., would be here. Again, add as many lines as needed. Telecom, any cost of telecommunications. So telecommunication in the broad sense of the term. So what is the cost of your internet per year? Is there a separate cost for landline? I know in my case, my internet, landline and cell phone are one and the same topic, but that might not be true for everyone. You may have Skype credits that you are buying. You may be buying a small material like a new cell phone, for instance, or I don't know, you have lost your charger, you are buying a new charger, whatever. Everything that is linked to marketing costs. So your domain names, your website or websites, if you have multiples, the cost of mail marketing, the cost of whatever webinar software or landing pages you may have, printing. There's less and less printing nowadays, but however, your business cards would probably be an item. You are buying pictures, also stock pictures for your website, for your blog or whatever. Any other item would fall under there. Licensing. Let's assume you are certified in the use of whatever coaching program, for instance, but you have to pay a license for it every year. You want to track that as well, and maybe you have multiple licenses. IT would be, and I'm just seeing that I forgot something on IT when I readapted it for you. There is software, but there might also be hardware. Hardware may be treated differently from an accounting perspective. It may not fall under there because if the cost of it is important, it might be spread over multiple years. For instance, for us, IT hardware is usually to be added in our bookkeeping spread over 3 years. So you would put 1/3 only. Stuff like Dropbox, I'm just giving you an example here. Any other type of IT supplies, I don't know, you are buying a hard drive, for instance, small items. Continuous learning, so any coaching or supervision that you would have, any training workshops that you would be attending, any books, magazines, audios that you're buying would fall for me under a continuous learning as well. Any other type of subscriptions that are, you know, a membership site or whatever would fall under this. So these are overall themes. You may need to reorganize them differently, but on average, it works pretty well. And you see again that, so I just entered a few fake numbers, but you see that the total business cost, your financial needs from a business perspective, including your personal cost, is here almost 300,000 a year, which means that on average you need to generate $25,000 per month. The monthly number, again, is just an indicator so that you have a feel for what that represents, because for a lot of people the yearly number is not speaking. Okay, so then you see that there is an indication that says bottom line. Bottom line, and every time you see that there is this small red triangle in a cell, it means that there is a command. So by going over the cell, it will help the command to show up. So what bottom line stands for is your revenues minus the cost. That's what is left for you. So I'm not going to look at the revenues right now, because I then want to move to the tab that you see at the bottom that is called time. And I'm going to the top. Again, we are concentrating only on the current column. And you will see that there are certain items that are in small printing in italics, and that some others are in normal font and in bigger font. It is because the small print and small font and in italic are just numbers that are helping us go to what it is that we're working on. So we are first looking, the first line says time allocation, number of days per year. Well, very clear, we all have 365 days a year. Same for everyone. But we all have weekend days. We might decide that we want to take a few extended extra days on the weekends. There are bank holidays, there are holidays we want to take, and there might be some continuous learning. And what is left of the time is the time that you can spend on working. So let's assume that you are taking the 52 weekends that are existing in a year. And that's 2 days a weekend, so that is 104 days. You are entering the number here. If for whatever reason you would take less, you cannot take more, you would change that number. And let's assume that you have decided that there are 4 of those weekends that instead of taking 2 days weekend, you are going to take 3 days. So you will be adding for each of those 4 1 day, so that's 4 days in total. And let's assume that in your country there are 10 bank holidays and that you're going to take them. And let's assume you have decided that you're going to take in total that year 3 weeks of holidays. And I should not have said 3 weeks of holidays, because it's the day weeks that I should be taking. It's not 7 days a week multiplied by 3, but 5 days a week multiplied by 3, because your weekends have already been counted under here. So that's 15. And let's assume that you've decided that you will take a total of 2 days, 2 weeks, weekdays of continuous learning, attending workshops or whatever. So you deduct to 10. Automatically, whatever numbers you will be entering here will automatically generate a number of days here. So in the example that I've taken, the number of days that is left for you to spend on working is 222 days. The next section, you have absolutely nothing to do, is automatically translating those days into hours. So every day is 24 hours and it's calculating it automatically. Sorry for that. So the weekends that you had entered here are translated in hours. The extended weekend days that you had added above are here, bank holidays, continuous learning. There is only one thing more, is that you have free time and sleep, because we counted 24 hours a day, and obviously you're not going to work 24 hours a day. So what I then have done is that the next row called work, if you look at slightly below, you'll see on this line it says a 10 hours day. Here it says a 9 hours day, 7 hours day, 5 hours day. What I mean here is that let's assume that you have decided that a normal working day, which I don't recommend, would for you mean that you are dedicating 10 hours to your work. What I have done is that under the number of hours here, I have reflected that the 222 days here are multiplied by 10 hours. And because of that, it is automatically calculating that the time there is left for you for your sleep and your free time is this number of 3,108 hours. So this way we know exactly how much time you're going to spend or planning to spend on your work. With that, we start looking, again, because it's more appealing to you, we start looking at how much time that represents per month. So the total of hours that you had here, 8,760 hours per year, are corresponding to 730 hours per month. So we do exactly the same exercise. It goes automatically. You have absolutely nothing to do. And you see that it means you will per month spend 208 hours on your weekends, 8 hours on extended weekend days, because that's, that was only 4 days that we had indicated. 20 hours on bank holidays. Again, it may not be spread like that. It's just to give you a feel for what it represents overall. Continuous learning. Your free time and sleep is automatically calculated also. It represents 259 hours. And it shows you, and that's what's most important, it shows you that the time that there is left for you to work, to spend on working, is 185 hours. 185 hours per month, to give you a rough indication, that stands for more or less 46 hours per week. Again, of those 46 hours per week, or 185 hours per month, there is a certain number of hours that you are going to spend on stuff that you cannot invoice to your client. That is what we call non-billable hours per month. And again, there is a small note that when you go over the cell pops up. Non-billable hours per month means the time spent on activity that cannot be invoiced to the client. So that's the stuff like administration, that's the stuff like sales and networking, social media marketing, content creation, and anything else that you would be doing. So I've just entered fake numbers. Let's assume you spend per month 10 hours on your administration because you are not delegating it to a freelance bookkeeper or whatever. Sales and networking 20 hours, social media marketing 20 hours, content creation 50 hours, etc. It shows you that the only time that there is left for you that you can bill to a client is 80 hours. Again, 80 hours is on average 20 hours per week. It's 20 hours per week that you can dedicate to delivery, to actually coaching your clients, to actually be facilitating a workshop, to actually be facilitating a group coaching session, or etc. And that is stuff that you are going to sell to your clients. The next row shows the total revenues that are needed per month. Again, per month, because that is giving you a better feel for what it is that you need to generate. That is, again, populated automatically from the total revenue needed per year that were appearing on under the business tab that we had earlier on. And those numbers are complete fake numbers, of course, so they may not apply to you at all, but is showing you what is the cost, the minimum cost, that is the value of an hour for you. If you need to generate 25,000 euros or dollars per month, and that you have 80 hours of delivery, it means that the value of 1 hour cannot be lower than $312 here in this case. So it's just an indication, and the numbers will appear automatically based on everything that you will have entered. I do not recommend at all, by the way, that you charge your time by the hour, but it's for you to understand what the value of 1 hour of your billable time is, because that is what is going to support your calculation of what your various packages and programs are worth. So we're then going back to the business tab, and that business tab, we go to the top, and there we look at the revenues. So the revenues, I've just listed a whole series of product or services that you're selling, and you are just going to replace it by whatever product you have. And I have just put some examples here so that you can see what it does. For instance, a private VIP day that is costed at, and I will change this number because I noticed that the bottom line was generating a negative result, so we don't want a negative result. Let's assume that you are selling a private VIP day, 7 hours a day on average, lunch included, and 7 hours a day multiplied by 312, which was the hourly rate, means that you cannot sell it for less than 2,184. So I'm going to sell that at 2,500. And let's assume that I want to sell 4 of them every month on average. It will generate $120,000. Let's assume that I'm having one-on-one clients that I'm working with privately, and that I am selling the package, and again, I'm going to make this higher for the sake of my bottom line, that you sell them at $12,000. Again, in order to calculate that, you need to first calculate what the cost of working one-on-one with your clients is. So if you are spending, say, I don't know, 4 hours a month, and it's a year program, 4 hours a month multiplied by, what did I say, 12 months, that's 48 hours, and that your hour is rated at 312, it means 15,000. It means you cannot sell your program at 12,000, assuming you would do 4 hours a week, a month, because you're losing money on it. So let's assume I'm saying 15,000. And let's assume that I want to work one-on-one, 1-year program with 10 clients. That's what it would generate. Let's assume that I'm selling a group program at $9.97, and that for each group program, I want to have 30 participants, and that I would want to sell 3 of those group programs a year. It means that the $9.97 would go against 90 participants, and that's what it would generate. And let's assume I'm selling ebooks at $20 each, and I want to sell 100 a year, etc. So you see that the revenues that would be that you are budgeting to for your year 2015 would generate a total revenue of 361,730. And if we go back to the complete bottom, we would see that the bottom line, which is the revenues minus the cost, it means that you are generating on top of your cost and including the salary that you're already paying yourself, $62,330 in this example. Don't forget that in some countries, there may be additional taxes to pay after your bottom line. So make sure that if that happens, you have included it in the taxes line. And where are my taxes? Taxes here. Let's say tax 3 is tax after bottom line. It means that for those of you who would know how to do it, there should be a formula in here that is saying that it is the result generated on the bottom line multiplied by a percentage. For instance, I don't know, 1/3. And that should be added there, so that whatever your bottom line is, this number would be changing. So I think that in a nutshell, if I can call this a nutshell, that's about it as far as the presentation of this tool is concerned. As I said, it's completely customizable to your own needs. For those of you who are not familiar with Excel, I'm happy to completely customize it to your needs with you. Well, we spend an hour together. Well, when I say an hour, it's less than an hour, for let's say $50, and that's it. And I mean, obviously, if I have only one person asking me, I won't charge at all. But if I have 20 person asking, that's something that I cannot do. Yeah, I think that's about it. If you have questions, 2 options. Either you email me at Agnes, ANYES, @successfulwomenacademy.com, or you send me a direct message on Facebook. What else? If you go to my website, www.successfulwomenacademy.com, you can also download another tool that you might find interesting, and that is my freebie that is called 4 Steps to Finding Your Sweet Spot Niche. The whole process that you are going through in that workbook will help you clarify exactly what you do, who you do it for, how you do it, and it will also help you clarify how you want to describe what it is that you are doing. You know, like I am saying that I am an expert in personal branding and systems, and that I am giving clarity and confidence, blah, 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 as I said. I'm just realizing that I forgot to say something about the tool, about the revenues. Once you have decided what your profit pyramid is, as we call it, then you will be looking, of course, at how you're going to deliver it. You are then implementing a strategy to decide, you know, when are you launching a group program, for instance. How are you going to promote it, etc., etc. So let's see. Stop share my screen. Yes, I am back. I hope you found this useful. I definitely know that it is helping my clients a lot. And as I said, I'm using it every single year again and again. And it will definitely help you stay on top of your business. So have a real business doing what you're passionate about while you are enjoying your life, instead of just having an expensive hobby. Thank you for listening, ladies. And I would say that we're probably going to see or talk to each other one way or the other in one of the Facebook groups. Thank you. Bye bye.